I'm Abrielle Millett for BYU-Idaho Radio, and today I'm talking to Michael Batdorf. He's a songwriter and musician performing with Easy Chair in a couple weeks. Michael, can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into what you guys will be doing as Easy Chair and just in general about you as a musician?
Sure. As you said, I'm a performing singer-songwriter. I've been writing my own songs since I was probably 12, 13 years old, maybe even earlier. Been making a living of it for 30 years or more. Originally from Ohio, grew up in Pennsylvania, and I moved west to Idaho probably 20 some years ago, and the band One Ton Pig, my band, has been the house band at the Silver Dollar Bar in Jackson Hole, the Word Hotel, going on 20 years this December. So that's kind of like my main act around the region, as well as the Brother Wolf, which is like a blues and rock band. Basically, the idea is just to give an outlet to any kind of songwriting that I may want or be inspired to do. Keeps things fresh and fun for me. And that's what the Easy Chair is just an extension of all that as well, and an opportunity to play with some different people. Easy Chair is a trio, kind of progressive bluegrass or folk and blues Americana. It's kind of a mix and a blend of all that. A lot of original material, obviously, that's my own. And it includes Tom Murphy, who plays mandolin. And he's just been a legend for a while, and not only in the Teton Valley area, but up in Montana, where he played with the Hooligans for a long time. And he's just been a stalwart member of the music community since he's come down to Idaho. And then Ted Wells plays banjo and pedal steel. And he has also just been an icon in the region. He played in a band that won Telluride Bluegrass Fest back in the 80s, and he's just been a monster influence on all the musicians that I know and work with in the Jackson area. We highly admire him. So it's really truly an honor to even play with these guys in this trio and have them play and paint on my songs. That's what we're bringing on the 5th to Driggs Downtown.
That's super exciting. Like you said, it sounds like a tremendous, like a fun trio. You guys are all bringing very different instruments and things. And like you said, they're doing a lot of your work. Is there any song or anything that you're most excited to perform for?
I don't think there's any particular song. What I love about these musicians is, and I try to surround myself with the best musicians I can. And I feel like I've done a really good job of that with the bands that I have. And they just lift your original songs up to a level that you wouldn't have imagined. And so with Tom Murphy and Ted Wells, very similarly, like these guys are musicians that can do anything. So rather than any one specific song, I think I like, such different styles. Like I could turn around and hit them with a barn burner, fast bluegrass, and these guys are going to carry it and match me. Or I can turn around next song and play like a slow ballad that has like a waltz to it or like a storyline to it, and they just paint over that. So I think just stylistically having the versatility be matched by these players, that it just lends such uniqueness to the songs, and I look forward to what they do as much as anything I might bring.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. with the jazz, the bluegrass like inspiration, I know that jazz tends it's known for its improvisation and kind of that being a role in their style of music. Is there any bit of that in what you guys do, like improv for part of your guys' performance?
So I would say we maybe lend into jazz the least of the genres that may have been mentioned in this interview.
Okay.
Um, as far as improv goes, I would say that happens in their soloing over the stuff. Is that I don't think that they approach any one solo with the same idea. Um, so I think the improv is mostly in what they do and what they bring, because the form doesn't really shift around and move and disappear like it might in some forms of jazz. It's not an improv in form; it's more of an improv in expression. If that makes sense.
Okay, that does. Um, yeah, so you mentioned that you've been playing or writing music since you were 11 or possibly even younger. I guess what got you into music?
Yeah, I guess I say maybe even younger because I just feel like this is what I have always like. It feels like this is what I'm supposed to do, on this earth.
Yeah.
It just feels like such a natural response. And I think what attracted me to it growing up in the Midwest is like, there's a pace to the East here that can swallow a creative mind like myself. And I went down, I tried Nashville and everything. My attraction to music was the ability to express myself in a world that otherwise didn't make sense to me in a lot of ways. Being a creative spirit, I need a slower pace. And Western landscape spoke to that to me as a writer. And I needed that, and I needed music to be able to feel heard or to feel like I could get my expressions out about what I was feeling. Being surrounded by music as a kid, not so much playing in the household as much as you just constantly hearing on the radio. You hear rock and roll coming out of the radio, but where did that come from? And then you start diving into some of these roots music and blues and bluegrass. And so it's also became like not just an outlet for my expression, but like just an interest and a study and an effort for me to lend my style or my approach and my originality to all these styles as much as I could and try to incorporate that in what I was doing. All the while falling in love with poetry and philosophy. It just, the study of words and everything became like a natural progress. And to marry that to song seemed like the most comfortable and most natural thing I could do with my talents.
Yeah, I saw on you have a website, right? Um,
Yeah, I have a personal website. I have one for the One Ton Pig. We have one for the Brother Wolf. Yeah.
and I did see that you mentioned that study of those genres, like you said, there's a lot of history with different styles and forms of music, and it was neat to see that you have that love for music, but also that love of learning of where the music comes from, and kind of using that in the different forms. Like you said, you want to challenge yourself, and you kind of continuously express in all different forms and styles of music from different places. I guess what has anything recently has spoken to you in that way where you've dived a little more deeper into the music form?
I think that's what's fun about music study for me is that, here I am, at a halfway point basically in life. And it's like, it seems more interesting to me now than it ever did. It's just like this, and this could be said of the arts in general, it's like, there's never a time to stop learning, you know? And I guess most recently, and what I've noticed in some of my styles and some of the stuff I've been doing or working on is like really trilly notes where it's like a lot of hammer on and hammer offs and pull offs and whatnot. And the more I think about it, it's like, I don't play West African music, but I listen to it on occasion and I do love it. I do love it. I wouldn't try to replicate it, but I think inevitably by exposing yourselves to all these different styles, you incorporate it a little bit. And I think that's some of what I'm doing. And I think artists in general have this point. If they're reaching for originality, I think that they have this point where they kind of feel alone in their creativity. It's like, oh my gosh, you don't belong to any one camp, right? Like you're not a blues player, you're not a jazz player, you're not a bluegrass player. So what are you, and there's all these camps that exist. And if you pick one, well, then you fit in a little bit longer. But, as a true artist and as a true person seeking that originality, you have a point where you're pretty alone in seeking something that's totally your own. And I think I'm to a point where I'm like pulling through the loneliness and realizing like I belong to a different camp, but yeah, I belong to a bigger music camp. I belong to a song camp. Like at this point, I'm seasoned enough to know that I can, play with a lot of these musicians. I can hang with a lot of these musicians on a musical level. And as a writer, I feel more confident than ever I can hang on a creative level. So it's like I'm starting to really just fall into a comfort zone where I can just accept who I am and whatever I want to do and whatever I want to study or whatever I want to express is just my own, and nobody has a say in that but me. And it feels good,
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That's nice to get to a place where you are comfortable with like you said, it doesn't completely fall into one group or one camp. So it's good to recognize that and be able to continue to play and be okay with that. That it's a, you said, a song camp, right?
Yeah, I feel like I belong to like a bigger camp now at this point, or even take it one step further. It's like not just this broad camp of musicians, but also a broad camp of artists in general, like painters or poets or whatever, that have like just arrived at themselves. They're no longer interested in questioning what they're doing or whether it's even any good. Because I mean, in the end, that's just gonna make you stumble in ways that you don't need to. It's hard enough to be an artist in this world. You don't need to be stumbling over your own thoughts and questions. But I mean, that's inevitable. That's part of being an artist,
Yeah. And you are a songwriter and primarily a guitar player. Is that like your main instrument, or do you play multiple instruments?
I started playing in a duet with this woman, Tori Lund, great songwriter. And occasionally I'll step on mandolin, but I don't typically perform with that instrument. I have a mandolin that I really love, and I love playing the mandolin, but I wouldn't say I'm proficient enough to feel comfortable. I don't know. Maybe that'll change, but maybe that's part of my growth moving forward too. Is feeling that comfort with different instruments. So guitar is definitely my instrument. I would say probably mandolin is second, or a hand percussion kind of.
Yeah, that's yeah. I don't play guitar, but I know I have my sister started to learn, and I think she started to pick up banjo. So it's definitely fun to see people pick up things and learn things and learn different instruments because they all have a different sound to them. I started to listen to some of your work and your music that you play, and I did notice, like you said, it has like a slower a pace. Some of the ones that I listened to, and I fully enjoyed the style that you play, and it does show a lot of, I guess, originality and your unique style. And going off of that, where would people go to listen to you live, or also just online?
I tried to do my best to keep up with the shows that I'm doing on my own personal website, whether that's the One Ton Pig Band or whether that's Brother Wolf. And then my own Facebook is kind of where I keep people updated as much as I can. But I definitely have residencies, like the Silver Dollar. We're there with the One Ton Pig. We're there almost every Tuesday. And like I said, it'll be 20 years in December. So people know that they can find us there on almost any given Tuesday. Or Wednesdays, I play the Melvin Brewery down in Alpine with the Brother Wolf. And that's kind of a great atmosphere because the music and whatnot and the food and the beer is all, you can be out on the patio or out on the deck outside with the Palisade Reservoir in the back. And then people camp because it's all BLM all around there. So it's just a good scene. But yeah, I try to keep updated shows on the website. But there's always the residency to come find us.
And what do you enjoy most about performing live?
It's interesting. I've always considered myself a writer first and foremost. The whole act of performing in front of people feels to me and has always felt to me like a separate piece of art. There are people like, I don't know, Michael Jackson or something like that really can get up there and dance and perform. And it's like, I've always not only seen a separation there, but like I've never really considered myself like being a performer. I mean, people come to the show and they see the music, hear the music, and I try my best to keep that legit and a good show. But I wouldn't say that I'm like flying around like David Lee Roth, like all over the stage and whatnot. But what I will add to that is I feel like I've grown into that as a professional musician, that I start to realize that like you can be more of a showman than this, or you can be more engaging than this. And so I'm starting to see that it's like all one thing. Because it's one thing if you write a song at home in your room and you keep it to yourself, and then there's a whole other art of bringing it to people and sharing it with them. But if you can get past the whole separation piece and just see it as an extension of the process of sharing, that's what I'm trying to get to. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. There's something different to me, like when performing live or hearing music live is definitely a different experience than like online or anything like that. So it's nice to know, like you said, you perform regularly and it's live and you have a residency, so people can like see you and perform and hear it, because it's definitely a little different live versus just like a recorded music.
Oh, totally. I mean, I was just having a discussion with an industry person the other day out in Nashville, and she was telling me that unfortunately 30% of the music that's coming out now is AI generated, and that's just like so far from like what I'm trying to do. Like I don't, there's no substitute for a live performance, basically, and I'm well aware that most of my income is going to come from that experience. And as I get older, I hope that just becomes more and more refined, and people see this as something that you can't substitute. Like, if they deem my music and what's going on worth it, then they'll hire me to play their event, or you know what I mean? Like, there is no substitute for having that real experience.
I agree. There's, like you said, there's no replacement for it, and like you said, you perform well enough, you prove to them like it's worth having, and you playing for them, and Tom and Ted, well, Tom Murphy, Ted Wells, and
Mhm.
you will be playing at the Downtown Sounds under the group Easy Chair, right?
Yeah, we also have a gig. We're playing Music on Main in Victor later that summer too, in July.
At the Driggs Plaza June 5th, 6 to 8 p.m. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we close our conversation?
No, I appreciate you doing what you do for BYU Radio, and yeah, all your work and contribution. Thank you.
I'm Abrielle Millett for BYU-Idaho Radio, and today I've been talking with Michael Batdorf, and he's a songwriter and musician that will be performing with Easy Chair. That will be June 5th, 6 to 8 p.m. with Downtown Sounds, and that's in the Driggs Plaza. Thank you so much for talking to me today. It was amazing to learn more about you as a musician and your performance and what you're looking forward to. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.